Lions were once widespread in Africa. Long ago, their prowess as hunters earned them a mythical reputation as the king of beasts. And in the Highlands, lions still lend their majestic presence to a rich kingdom of forest animals. Of all continents, Africa holds the greatest wealth of wildlife. An amazing variety of creatures inhabits the wilderness areas of this land. Explorers of the mountains and forests are still rewarded with the sights and sounds of many of the world's most remarkable animals. Animals that evolved with us in Africa. This safari begins in East Africa, within the Great Rift Valley. The mountains here are volcanoes, but most are extinct. Mount Kenya and Mount Kilimanjaro are the most famous, and both have permanent glaciers. There are 15 glaciers on Mount Kenya, even though it stands very close to the equator. But at 17,000 feet, it's the second highest mountain in Africa, so frost, ice and snow can lie here all year. And the glaciers aren't the only mysteries on these mountains. There are outsized plants on these equatorial alpine slopes. A relative of the dandelion here grows 30 feet tall, and this giant lobelia is enough to frighten any gardener. But the tough leaves of the giant groundsel act as lagging against the mountain frost. The hyrax finds them an agreeable meal. Hungry sunbirds feed on the nectar of the giant lobelias. Each column of densely packed flowers is several feet tall. The leaf-like bracts are frost protection. And a hyrax also likes lobelia leaves that grow as a giant rosette close to the ground. Mountain chats and malachite sunbirds pay little heed to the hyraxes in this highland world of Africa, where an equatorial sun blasts the volcanic soil by day and frosts bite the same ground by night. The strange plants endure the extremes, and around them moves a diversity of African animals. They've come from lower ground and found ways to survive this alpine life. Hyraxes sit so still they're often hard to see among the rocks. Unlike most mammals, they have to bask in the morning sunlight to raise their body temperature before setting off to graze or browse for a short time. Cavities in the rocks are their hiding place from eagles. And hyraxes can run quickly on soft, padded, sweaty feet. The sweat helps to grip. Their feet have no claws and are rather like those of an elephant. Several parts of a hyrax's anatomy suggest that they are distantly related to elephants. They're among Africa's most curious animals. Huddling together and basking to get warm is more like a lizard's way to start the day. And hyraxes seek shade from the midday heat. Like the reptiles, hyraxes use their surroundings to combat the extremes of this highland climate. In the foothills, the forests provide ample cover for lions. The male's large mane increases his apparent size, intimidating any lesser male intruding on the territory of the pride. But for his food, he must rely on the lionesses. They are sleeker and less conspicuous when hunting. Prey is abundant in these forests, and so the pride's territory may not be very large, perhaps 10 square miles, laced with streams and waterholes that attract animals to drink. Only the youngest elephants are at risk to lions. These largest of all land mammals have little to fear in this forest. A trunk full of water squirted into the mouth refreshes after a morning spent eating trees and shrubs. And the trunk is sensitive to touch and smell, useful for greeting and caressing another elephant, as well as detecting any unwelcome lions in the bush. The kingdom of the lion is also a land of antelopes. And the rarest of them in these forests is the bongo. It's the largest and most colourful of the antelopes. Cows with calves may band together in herds of about 9, but usually only 2 or 3 bongos are seen together. A bongo's hearing is acute, and if disturbed while browsing in a patch of open forest, they can melt away among the trees, their stripes helping to camouflage them, hiding them from lions. Forest animals are drawn to this waterhole not only by thirst, but by their hunger for minerals. It's a salt lick, and these waterbuck are more interested in the soil than the water at the moment. Oddly, though called waterbuck, they seem not to like getting into it. This bushbuck's colours, like the bongo's, break up its outline in the forest. Bulky and formidable, the buffalo is one of the most successful animals in all Africa. Once a day they come to wallow in the mud. The waterbucks will give them room to dig and toss the mud, activities of great social significance among buffaloes. Only a large pride of lions would risk tackling an adult bull. There's little peace today for the antelopes. A matriarch has led her herd to the salt lick. The tiny youngster is protected among the forest of legs and is introduced to the technique of digging for the minerals essential to elephant diet. 2 finger-like projections at the tip of the trunk grip the soil into a kind of handful. More commuters arrive. A waterhole is a crossroads in the African bush. Giant forest hogs also come to excavate the mineral earth. They eat large amounts of it to supplement their vegetarian fodder. The mountain waters bring into the open a great variety of African highland animals. Our safari moves further down the slopes of the mountains and foothills to enter a taller, denser forest where other colours and shapes are glimpsed. The trees stand closer, their crowns tight together, catching the tropical sun and shading other layers of trees and bushes below. It's a darker world within, but alive with sound and movement. Lions don't hunt here. It would be too tiring. They need 60 pounds of meat every 3 or 4 days, and there are easier places to catch it. Just like this Jackson's chameleon seeking a meal while itself trying to remain unseen, so a diversity of African animals, from butterflies to monkeys, hides in these trees. Moist air rising from the humid lowlands or blowing in from the ocean soon condenses into the lifeblood of the forest, rain. Dust is washed from the trees and plants. Rain streams from the drip tips of the leaves. Much of the water will be absorbed by the trees, some by the soil. The rest will evaporate or run off into the streams and rivers. Without the forest, the soil itself can swiftly erode away. Untroubled by the force of the water, a slender-billed chestnut-winged starling snatches at insects. Nourishing and cleansing, water sustains the life in the trees. The broad crowns of the trees together form the canopy of the forest, and it's home to many families of monkeys. The branches are both resting place and a highway to and from other trees where they feed. These are black and white colobus monkeys. This male is calling to announce the position of his family to other troops in the canopy. 3 or 4 females, together with infants and older youngsters, make up an average troop. Their home range is small, but the boundaries are well guarded. They are living among their food, flowers and fruits, but mainly leaves. They can even eat the older, tougher foliage that can poison other monkeys. The colobus has a very special digestive system. It may eat 1/3 of its body weight in leaves a day. There's a Sykes monkey in this tree as well. But different kinds of monkey can share the same living space by feeding on different foods or at different times. A colobus grips the leaves between fingers and palm. It has no fully developed thumb. Sykes monkeys often eat caterpillars and other tiny creatures, as well as fruit and leaves. They'll spend about 1/3 of each day eating, much longer than the lions. All primates like to groom and be groomed. It's a satisfying social activity. Parasites are removed, fur is cleaned. And as well as being pleasurable, it's a way for animals of different rank to communicate and confirm their position in the family. It can be so diverting that it takes the mind right off eating. Infants are groomed regularly. It soothes and distracts a youngster when it's being weaned. Other females wanting to handle an infant will groom the mother to gain access. Contact between these primates is every bit as important as the human need for touch in close relationships. Youngsters are soon ready to explore the top of the trees and, tentatively, to learn the skills that allow the adult colobus to exploit this idyllic world. The horny casque on top of the beak of a hornbill makes it one of the most distinctive birds in the world. This decoration is much lighter than it looks, and the large beak plays several roles in the life of these tropical forest birds. This male silver-cheeked hornbill is about to raise a family with its mate, and first it has an intriguing job to do. He's collecting mud with his beak. He delivers it to a hollow tree and posts it through the hole. Then he goes to get more mud. He can carry quite a large load, and he needs a good amount, or rather his mate needs it. The female is inside the tree and is using the mud to plaster around the entrance hole. She's making it smaller to keep her safely walled up in their tree hollow nest while she incubates the eggs for a month or so. Four or 5 weeks later, the family has grown, fed by the male hornbill alone. They watch for his unfailing visits. This time it's fruit that he'll deftly deliver with his beak. If some misfortune befalls him, the female and the chick could starve to death. To the chick, that bill is a horn of plenty, arriving from a world it's not yet experienced. First out from the nest will be the chick, and it'll be followed by the female, from whom the male has been separated for so long. After all that feeding, it's a squeeze to get out. Reunited at last. Time to stretch the wings and limbs before continuing with their family duties to the chick. In the city of the forest, the trees, live or dead, are the homes of its citizens. Not far from where the hornbills have their nest, some red-fronted parrots are raising a brood. They hatched about a month ago and will need feeding for another month and a half before fledging. Both parents gather food for their young, and often several pairs that have families fly together to a particular feeding tree. Young birds demand more regular feeding than young lions. Parrots' beaks are dexterous at opening various kinds of nuts and fruits. Their chorus of chatter mingles with the calls of the colobus, a daily performance while the chicks grow larger in the nest. The parrot is cautious as it returns home. A month older now, the waiting chick is as big as its parent. Only 2 chicks remain of the original brood, but they're strong and now well able to climb towards the light, the window through which they'll enter the forest world. This one seems impatient to imitate its parent, but is probably only trying to get fed first. The rival fledgling seems sick as a parrot at being ignored. But this is a competitive world, though both should now survive. Like the buildings in a city, trees are demolished, sometimes by bulldozing elephants, or they die naturally and open the forest floor to the sun. Grasses and other plants flourish and are grazed by antelopes or browsed by other animals. A giraffe can reach more than 3 times as high as an average person and gathers foliage with its 18-inch tongue. An elephant uses its multi-purpose trunk to pull down branches. A large bull must eat some 140 pounds of trees and shrubs or grasses every day. Each of these animals plays a part in shaping the forests in which they live. Natural gardeners, they influence the growth of new trees and bushes, cutting, clearing, fertilizing, even sowing seed in their droppings. The open pasture that vigilant bushbucks risk grazing today may in future become a new forest, while elsewhere other natural clearings form among the trees. Watch the animals, and you're watching the architects, builders and citizens that shape the landscape of the lion's kingdom. Warthogs dislike dense undergrowth and seek these pastures in the forest where they can snuffle up roots and bulbs even from the hardest soil. They excavate large burrows underground, which they defend with their tusks. Hungry lions in this forest kingdom have been known to try to dig them out. The mountain streams finally enter the great rivers of the lowlands, winding through humid African jungle. Seen from the river, as the first explorers discovered, the tropical rainforest presents a dense, impenetrable green wall. But a rainforest is also the most exuberant display of the diversity of life on Earth. Giant trees reach for the light and support other plants on their branches, giving them a place in the sun. And along the tree limbs move the monkeys feeding in these forests, often invisible from below and above, hidden in the canopy of leaves. White-nosed guenons, red colobuses and white-collared mangabes live among this abundance of food, travelling to a succession of trees fruiting in this tropical hothouse, too high for lions to be a threat. The mangabe is essential to the life of this fig tree, dispersing the seeds in the forest. Everywhere, trees display their offerings in this supermarket for the animals of the canopy. Colonies of social spiders set their webs to trap the many forest insects. Their web a part of the greater web of life, holding all the forest creatures together in mutual dependence. Our closest relatives also live here, pygmy chimpanzees. Forests like these were the home of our earliest ancestors. Millions of years later, we venture back into this dark heart of Africa. It's very humid and very hot, especially where the sun can reach down into the forest. The atmosphere is heavy with the scent of wet decay, and occasionally the perfume of forest flowers. Rich colours seem brighter against the leafy shade. Colours and sounds of life in the rainforest. Chimpanzees are not able to talk, but their faces and actions speak volumes. These forests in the very midst of Africa are the home of two kinds of chimp, the pygmy and these common chimpanzees. They tell us much about ourselves, their behaviour suggesting how the common ancestor that we share with today's chimps probably lived. Chimps can sleep and hunt in the trees, but are well at home on the ground. They forage intelligently, using skills that once we thought were exclusively ours. Members of a community often look for food alone. They wander freely over their community's home range, searching for insects, fruits, and nuts. And they crack open nuts, using a rock as a hammer. Almost all food is eaten where it's found: soft fruits and leaves, flowers and other parts of plants and trees. For about 4 hours every day, they feed on a menu of some 20 different kinds of plant. Females are even better at using a hammer, but it's woken her baby. These two may be hunting insects. The baby was able to grip its mother's fur a few days after being born and to hang on tight wherever she goes. And grip remains important to the chimp throughout adult life. Rocks, sticks, clubs and fly whisks are the answer to many problems. Chimps use tools more than any animal apart from humans. Even though the thumb is very short, there's enough precision in the grip for success. Though other primates are intelligent and can grip, it seems the chimp's way of life has offered most need to use tools. The grunts, barks, screams and hoots of chimpanzees can signal a wide range of emotion. The adult males that form the core of a community not only aggressively defend their home range against intruding males, but frequently re-establish their own status between themselves. This youngster is facing its own challenges. It's a useful game, but with some seriously threatening action starting on the beach, it's more prudent to hide. This hair-raising display is often a threat to another male of equal rank. Fights are rarely seen except when an intruding neighbour is being repelled. Frightened chimps can throw sticks or rocks at a potential predator. Around midday, chimps usually take a rest for a couple of hours. This one's having a wash and a drink. Chimps are usually reluctant to go in the water, possibly apprehensive about crocodiles or snakes. But there seems to be no danger here, so there's time for some personal grooming. Chimps have good memories. They know where to find regular food and can even anticipate the ripening of some fruits. They have the strength and technique to open coconuts. The table manners are rough, but the method works. Chimps are the most human-like of the apes, independent and excitable. Their scientific name suits them well: Pan, the god of the forest. The large eyes of the greater bush baby peer into the gloom of a moonlit woodland. But the moon is a poor lantern in the forest, and at times not shining at all. The bush babies rely more on their noses in the darkness, and their sensitive ears catch the slightest sound in the African night. Once out of the sleeping hollow, this hunter must prepare to lay a trail in the dark. Saliva is one glandular secretion carrying personal identity. Like invisible marking inks, such fluids lay claim to this bush baby's property, preventing possible hostile encounters with other bush babies that can be heard in the trees. Another boundary marker is urine spread by the feet. The system allows several bush babies to share an area of forest. An owl, patiently hunting, is no threat to a bush baby the size of a cat. It's off to find fruit in the trees. But a snack on the way is not to be ignored. As a rule, greater bush babies don't chase insects, and if there had been some fruit here, the moth would probably have been ignored. But it's a start to the night's foraging. Below, a rat is out hunting, but it's no ordinary rat. The greater bush baby, at 4 pounds, is the largest of bush babies. The African giant pouched rat is the largest of rats. The bush babies must be home by dawn, and the rat is stuffing its cheek pouches before returning to its own burrow. These rats eat all kinds of food: snails, insects, seeds and fruits. The bush babies have fed on the gummy resin of trees as well as fruit, and now they'll sleep. Three feet long from nose to tail, the solitary giant heads for one of its storage chambers. Hearing, smell and feeling with its whiskers are probably its best senses. Here, it can unload its collection. Objects other than food also get picked up. Coins and buttons, for example, if there's a village in the forest. Local people sometimes tame them as pets, or even catch and eat them. The night is almost over. The owl has caught food for its chick. There's still time for one last foray. The owl chick is ready for that meal, and several more before sunup. A night hunter returns. The first light of dawn is in the sky. Time for a wash, and then to get the head down. The other kind of chimpanzee in Africa was only recognized as being different in 1933. They are bonobos, or pygmy chimpanzees, and are a little more slender than the well-known kind. Their limbs are longer and their teeth are smaller. Bonobos spend more time in the trees, and they live only in the rainforest south of the river Zaire, in the very midst of Africa. They're rather better at walking upright on 2 legs than the other chimps. There's probably good reason for them developing this skill, perhaps to do with moving through the trees or carrying fruit. Our own ancestors may have found similar advantages in starting to walk upright. And that's one reason why bonobos are intriguing. They are our nearest relatives, and their lives may shed some light on our own origins millions of years ago. As in most primates, grooming is an essential social pastime. It's a satisfying cleaning of the skin and hair, but also a way of communicating with each other by touch, bonding relationships, reaffirming rank in the community. Large, intelligent brains need games to challenge them. But why have the great apes developed larger brains than other primates? That's another question to which these pygmy chimpanzees may indicate some answers. Bonobos are rather more peaceful than the common chimps, and females, it seems, enjoy equal status with the males. Fewer than 20,000 of these little-known forest dwellers are thought to exist. Yet of all the great apes, they may tell us most about ourselves. Far to the south in the lion's kingdom, there are dry forests. A young baboon in Botswana is born into open bush country on the edge of savanna and desert. On the sandy or clay soils, mopane trees and acacias each form woodlands of distinct character. This is a region of seasonal rains and severe droughts. But many animals of southern Africa are able to cope with the fortunes of the climate and survive here. Elephants are the path makers in these woodlands. As they walk on the tips of their toes, these largest of land animals open the way for antelopes, zebras, buffaloes and wildebeests, and, inevitably, the following lions. And elephants make water holes where they know they can dig for buried water in the dry seasons. They can push trees over to reach the leaves in the crown, but they also sow the seeds of trees in the rich compost of their dung. The pods of acacias, eaten in the shade, are a favourite meal, and the seeds pass safely through their giant digestive systems. Elephants create woodland to the benefit of all. Intelligent and gentle among themselves, elephants here have long memories and a traditional knowledge passed from generation to generation, without which no elephant could survive in this place. Baboons long ago cottoned on to the fact that there were seeds to be found in the wake of elephants passing by. But there'll be more than enough left over to germinate in the rains. This youngster is learning to be adventurous, but readily returns to mother if it feels insecure. These are Chacma baboons, and like other kinds of baboon, they live in a troop. Besides these females and babies, there are some juveniles and older males, one of which is the troop leader. He's the father of these youngsters. A disturbance among the elephants is alarming this mother. But it's just a gentle show of affection. These large primates live in a strictly organized society, and understanding them may reveal some idea of how our own forest-dwelling ancestors emerged onto the African plains to hunt. These monkeys long ago made that same risky move. Like pygmy chimpanzees, the baboons can perhaps provide glimpses of the childhood of humankind. Enjoying the sweet life of these southern savanna woodlands, a lesser bush baby feeds by the light of the moon. Smaller than a squirrel, it's an agile night hunter. Twitching ears and large eyes miss nothing. African moths are a substantial meal. In only one night, a lesser bush baby may visit 500 different trees, travelling more than a mile from home and back. A nest of termites provides a feast for these little animals. But it's sugars they love, in the sweet gum that exudes from acacia trees damaged by wood-boring insects. They like it fresh and soft, and have good memories for where the best sources of gum and insects are. Each lesser bush baby hunts alone, tiny creatures of the African night, with their own role to play in these forests of the lion's kingdom.